Good morning, Top Fan Rivalry followers. It's Bill from Top Fan Rivalry and Jackson. That means it's Friday. That means it's time to do our weekly review. Lots of things to talk about as the season winds down. Jackson, how are you doing, my good friend, this morning?
I'm doing pretty good. Week left of the season. I'm just ready for October baseball. Let's
You are.
just,
Well, you're a Braves fan. You are ready for October baseball.
it is officially fall. The 21st came and passed. It is fall time, and I'm ready for October baseball.
There you go. I tell people all the time, there's three awesome things about October. Number one, you have October baseball, unless you're an Angels fan. Number two, you can watch Charlie Brown's pumpkin patch without anybody looking at you weird. And number three, you get to make a list of family that you want to ditch for the holidays.
Yeah, I mean,
Like a win-win all over the place.
yeah, I mean, I was doing that a couple days ago.
It, listen, at least you're honest. Jackson, what do you got for us for number one?
For number one, let's talk about the NL wildcard race.
Wow, race.
I
Okay,
mean,
let's do it.
they don't call it the wild card for nothing. It's Philadelphia seems to have, taken control of the first spot. Maybe they're only 3 games up on Arizona with 9 to play. Arizona, speaking of Arizona, have won 5 in a row. Come out of nowhere, they've leapfrogged the Cubs, Miami. I think they jumped Cincinnati at one point too. I don't even know anymore. All you need to know is that there's a bunch of teams within 2.5 games of each other for that second wild card spot. And it's coming down to the wire, Bill. And you were mentioning a team before who's coming on hot down there, the San Diego Padres.
Yeah, I mean, Padres, I think, have 10 games left. They're 4 out. They'd have to win out or come darn near close to it. Might be a little too late, but they are on a whatever it is, an 8-game or 7-game winning streak. So congratulations, San Diego. Uh,
Do they have a tiebreaker over any of those teams?
no,
No. Oh, geez.
I don't think so. No. So I feel for them because they got such a great team and they're playing. See, if they played like this in August or July and put a couple of 8-game winning streaks, 7, 8-game winning streaks together, they might be right where they're at. But again, they're still under 500. So when it comes to the Padres, Jackson, I got to wonder the business of baseball side. I got to wonder if management is looking at this going, you know what? We should be in the World Series this year. We're not even making the playoffs. What the blankety blank happened?
Yeah. There was actually, was it an athletic article that came out this week about the Padres upper management?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So go read that on the Athletic. I'm not gonna, read you. They're behind a paywall, so if you want to know, you can go pay for it, I guess, like everybody else. But it just seems like a mess from the top down. There's a lot of butting of heads, lots of big personalities. I think
Yeah.
that's really bad over a long season.
Yeah. No, and honestly, if you owned a team, most people didn't take kindly to George Steinbrenner, right? But he took over a floundering team and he made them World Series champions. I mean, how many times did they win the World Series when he was the the owner of the Yankees? They won in 77, 78. They were in it in 81. They won it in 96, 98, 99, 2000,
2000.
2008. Like they won 7 or 8 World Series over the 40 years that he owned the team, which that's actually not too bad. They made the playoffs a significant amount of time, but he expected winning. There was a winning culture. Jerry Buss, same thing. When he took over the Lakers, they were the laughing stock of the NBA. And look at where the Lakers are now. They're a marquee franchise. When you go in and you expect to win, you get it done, right?
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine some heads are going to roll, whether it
Oh,
be the general
absolutely.
manager or the manager. I wouldn't be surprised if they fired the whole coaching staff because the Padres should be a lot better than they are.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it just depends on how much the coaching staff has decisions on the on-field stuff, right? You and I both
Yeah.
know that there's times where the coaching staff does not have on-field decisions,
Yeah.
and they can't make those decisions. So, but nevertheless, notwithstanding, here we are.
Yeah.
You led me into my number one.
Oh, perfect.
Okay. Tell me I'm wrong, Jackson. Now I'm sitting here. I don't own a baseball team. I own a company that runs Top Fan Rivalry. Okay. I don't own the baseball team. But if I go in as an owner of a baseball team, the first thing I think of is how do I win a championship? Okay. And to do that in today's game, at the speed of today's game, I think you have to build up the farm system, bring young kids in, and then maybe buy a player or two to fill a hole. You cannot buy your team. You can't, what I mean by that is you cannot buy superstars at every position. It doesn't seem to work. Tell me I'm wrong.
Uh, yeah, you most great teams have a core of homegrown players, so I would agree with that.
I'm looking right now, I'm looking at the Baltimore Orioles, for example. They have the best record in the American League, right? They are phenomenal. They're a bunch of young kids. I wouldn't be surprised if they went out and bought a superstar in the offseason just to fill a hole, just to have another bat in the lineup that says, okay, you mess with me, you get this bat. Okay. And so it wouldn't surprise me if a big name went over to Baltimore this offseason or at the trade deadline next season. And it would not surprise me to see the Orioles in the championship series. I, it might surprise me just a little bit if they made it to the World Series this year, but it wouldn't surprise me with the championship series. But my opinion, Jackson, you got to grow from within, and then you buy where your holes are at. You cannot, and I'm not going to mention the name of the franchise here, but you cannot go out and buy an Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton and an Anthony Rizzo. Like you can't buy superstars at every position. I'm not going to mention the team, Garrett Cole. I mean, nobody knows who I'm talking about, right? So, but you get what I'm saying? Do you
Yeah,
agree?
I agree. I mean, the big advantage of homegrown players is that they like you talked about, it's all culture, team culture.
Mhm.
If you have your team have a good culture and you have good scouts, maybe you don't have the best players possible, but you have players that can fill the role you need them to, and they play within your culture, which makes them better. And
Yeah,
you notice sometimes guys move teams and they're not as good or they play better. It's because every team is different. I mean, part of it has to do with ballparks and pitching, but every team's different. They kind of you always hear baseball guys talk about the vibe in the clubhouse. If the vibe is good and the culture's good, guys play better. They enjoy playing baseball. So
agreed, agreed, agreed. All right, what do you have for number two?
uh, Thomas and I talked a little bit about it on Chop House Chatter this week. That the NL Cy Young race has Blake Snell cemented his number one position with his 7 no-hit innings. No, no.
No, no, no. I'm going to give you two other names. I'm going to give you two other names right now that can easily make a run for that. Do you know who they are?
I assume Justin Steele,
He's one.
and then the other guy. I mean, I want to say like Zach Gallen, but I don't know what Gallen's numbers are looking like right now.
How about Stash?
Spencer Strider's numbers have been good. It's just he's either really good or really bad. The problem is when you have the kind of the Jekyll Hyde, your numbers don't look as good. So
Okay,
it depends on the voter's mood. If they're looking at advanced analytics and FIP, he'd be a shoe in. But guys like the traditional numbers. They like the ERA. They like the WHIP.
okay. So let's talk about that for a second. I'm looking at the statistics right now. Stash he's 18-5 as of this morning. ERA is 3.73. Okay. Not the best ERA, but the ERA, right? He's pitched 160 or 176 innings. He's given up only 73 earned runs. He's given up only 9 home runs, 54 walks, and 270 strikeouts. The next closest person to him in the National League, not baseball, but just in the National League, the next closest person to him is Blake Snell at 227. So Spencer Strider has 43 more strikeouts. That's akin to 4 dominant starts or 5 starts, right? A dominant start would be 10 strikeouts, right? So that's akin to 4 dominant starts or 5 total starts. It's crazy numbers. Those are absolutely nutso numbers. Tell me I'm wrong.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the name of the game is run prevention. And Snell's 2.33 ERA. I personally don't. I'm not a big fan of guys who strand a ton of runners on base. I think it's really sloppy, especially Snell's walked what 97 batters. He's going to walk 100 batters in under 200 innings. But I just think from a voter standpoint, I think they're going to look at Snell's ERA, and they're going to look at Strider has 18 wins on the best offense maybe of all time. So don't get me wrong, I love Strider. I got a Strider T-shirt. You've all seen it. I frequent it every day he pitches. I wear it. So I think it'll be an interesting Cy Young race because there's no one that I think Snell will take it, but I don't think Snell's like wow 100% of the vote. I think there's going to be a lot of votes scattered throughout. Those 3 guys we talked about.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And this one's a dangerous topic, right? Because you can't go wrong with Blake Snell. You can't go wrong with Justin Steele, and you can't go wrong with Stash, period.
Yeah.
Right? They're both, all 3 of them are very talented individuals, and they deserve it. They absolutely deserve it. I mean, it's like talking about the NL MVP race. I mean, there's 4 guys there that in any other season, these 4 guys would win it hands down. The problem is you have 4 guys having phenomenal seasons. And so you can't really argue, is it bad if Acuna gets it? No, of course not. Is it bad if Freddie Freeman gets it? No. Is it bad if Mookie Betts gets it? No. Is it bad if Matt Olson gets it? No.
Yeah, it's
But they're all having phenomenal seasons in different formats, right?
yeah.
So, all right. So my number 2 topic is you're going to appreciate this. This is right up your alley. It's stats, and I'm going to only use one stat. Okay, I'm going to use the long ball because, as Thomas says in his article, chicks dig the long ball, right? So 94. Have you read that article yet in the locker room?
Not yet.
Yeah,
I
Thomas
might
labeled
have
it
to.
chicks dig the long ball.
I might have to read it now.
Yeah. So 94 home runs in 2 seasons. And part of this season, he was injured. You know who I'm talking about, Aaron Judge,
Yeah.
right? He still has 8 more years with the Yankees. Assuming, and I'm gonna round up for a second and call it 100 home runs for 2 seasons. And then I'm gonna round down and give him some attrition. But 8 years more with the Yankees, assuming that he does what he does, 8 more years with the Yankees could produce another 3 to 350 home runs, which will put him, if he gets another 350, will put him over 600 home runs in his career. I mean, this guy is a talent of all talents. His last 3 years, 39 home runs, 62 home runs, 32 home runs. So, and we know that he was out for a significant amount of time this season. I like this kid. Okay. And I know that everybody says, hey, batting average, yada, yada, yada. His batting average is 259. It's much better than Pete Alonso. Much better than Pete Alonso.
I think Judge is fine. He usually hovers around 270, which is that's pretty
Yeah.
good.
His batting average for his career is 281.
Yeah. So
And so, I mean, he's a little slow this year. Last year he hit 311. But I'm looking at these numbers and I'm thinking, people give the Yankees a hard time and say, oh, gee, Aaron Judge, this is the reason why the Yankees aren't playing, as awesome or whatever. I'm going to say hogwash. I'm going to say he's the one that keeps the team together. I'm going to say that the other supporting cast members haven't done their jobs this season because the
oh,
Yankees aren't eliminated, but they're darn near close to eliminated.
yeah, absolutely. It'd be you can take the best player off any team, and I think Aaron Judge is probably the top 3 player impact wise when you take him out of the lineup of his team. He just does so much for the Yankees. Again, it's because that supporting cast has struggled this year for various reasons. If you went to Houston, you took out I know Jordan missed like a month, but if Jordan missed 3 months, Maybe he has. I don't know. It's a lot more difficult for teams that don't have, the Yankees don't have the star power they used to have. It right now it's kind of the Judge, Stanton, Rizzo show, and the rest of the lineup is kind of eh. So if you took, Yordan Alvarez out of the Houston lineup all season, I think it would be a very big impact because he does a lot for them, especially in situational hitting, which is what these superstars do. When there's guys on base, when they need to drive people in, they do it. That's what they get paid to do.
So that's where you have to go with me. You have to go on a Friday morning to Yordan Alvarez. One of the single reasons why I get frustrated with him because the Dodgers let him go for nothing. You have to use Yordan as an example. You couldn't have
Okay.
used Kyle Tucker. You couldn't have used like anybody else. Come on, Jackson.
Come on, Josh Fields, man. Put some respect on that Yordan race.
Jackson, I used to like you. All right, what do you got for me? Number three.
Number three, uh, talking about that MVP race, I was just going to mention that I think it's over. I'm going to make a bold statement and say that it's over. I think Ronald Acuna has secured his MVP, and I have some numbers to back it up, Bill.
Please, by all means, like hit it with me. Come on, let's go.
So Ronald Acuna is the first player since Ty Cobb in 1911 to have 75 extra base hits and 60 stolen bases in a season. He
Okay.
leads the league in hits. He leads the league in runs. He scored 140. He has an outside shot scoring 150, which would be the first time since I believe Jeff Bagwell in 2000, and only the fifth time since 1930 that has happened. He has over 100 RBIs. He's going to hit 40 home runs. He needs 2 more bases to get to 70. I just think, as good as a season as those other 3 guys you've mentioned have had, I think Acuna is just going to win it based on the stats alone. Not a knock on anyone behind him. I just think it's overwhelming. You just kind of look at the whole board. Even the stuff he doesn't lead in, he's like second or third, and you're just kind of like, well, shoot.
Normally, I would say yes on this. Normally, I would say yes. And trust me, I'm not trying to be a hater on this one. Normally, I would say yes. But there's going to be some homers out there that are going to be like, I love it when guys hit a lot of home runs. Yeah, Acuna hit 40, but gee, Matt Olson had 132 RBIs and 53 home runs. So Matt Olson could hit 55 home runs and have 140 RBIs and still bat 280. And there's going to be some people out there that are going to vote for him. You got to know
I
that,
I
right?
know that. I'm just saying. I just don't think it's going to be as close as people are putting it.
And then when you look also at Freddie Freeman stuff, see, I don't think Mookie is one to be in this race, but what do I know? Freddie Freeman's going to end up having 100 RBIs. He'll have maybe 27 home runs, but he's going to have 56 doubles or more. He could potentially have 60 doubles. He's got 21 stolen bases. And he's batting 333. So there's going to be some people out there that are going to look at it and go, man, Freddie's batting, over 330. He's got more doubles than anybody in the history of a long time. He's got all these, RBIs. Why aren't we voting? He's in the lineup every day. He's not hurt, yada, yada, yada. I don't think it's over. Now, I agree with your sentiment. I just don't think it's over.
Okay. Fair.
And I'm glad I don't have to vote because I can't tell you right now if you were asking me who to vote for, I couldn't tell you who I'd vote for because all 4 guys are deserving of it. When was the last time, besides Aaron Judge last season, when was the last time we saw somebody hit over 50 home runs and have a batting average plus 260 or have 140 RBIs, with the exception of Aaron Judge? I know you're going to look it up because you're a stats guy, but
I think it was Ryan Howard in 2006.
yeah,
That was
so
the first season that popped up in my mind. He hit 313 that year. That's a
yeah,
crazy season.
it's a crazy season, and he won the MVP that season,
Yeah.
right? And you're talking 17 years. So I mean, yeah, I can't not say Matt Olson, but I also can't not say Freddie Freeman either, because Freddie Freeman's never had he's never had a 200 hit season, never in his career. He's got 199 hits. He needs 1 hit in the next 8 games or 9 games, whatever the Dodgers have left. So yeah, Jackson, I'm just glad I'm not voting. Can I just tell you that right now? I appreciate your optimism, but can I just tell you that right now? I'm
Yeah,
glad I'm not voting because
yeah, it's a tough vote.
I'm not going to be mad for any of the 4 of those guys. If Matt Olson wins it over Acuna, I'm not going to be mad about it, right?
I would be shocked if Matt Wilson
I
won
know,
it over
I
Acuna.
understand, but you understand there's some old school people out there that like the long ball, right? I mean, Matt Olson's numbers: 53 dingers, 132 RBIs, 99 walks, batting 279, has 162 hits, 26 doubles. It's not like it's all or nothing like Pete Alonso.
Yeah,
You can't, it's too tough, right? Yeah.
it's really tough, but I think the last 3 weeks, Acuna's kind of cemented his position once more.
And I don't doubt that. I'm just saying you can't knock on the other 3 guys. They're having tremendous seasons. And if Acuna wasn't, take Acuna out of the mix for a second. Let's say he didn't perform the way that he did this season. The other 3 are legitimate MVPs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You take Acuna out of the mix, and let's say Freddie Freeman out of the mix. Well, then Mookie Betts and Matt Olson, right? It's very rare that you have 4 players that are this good in a season. But
In the same league.
yeah, it's just insane. Anyways, I want to get this topic gives me anxiety just thinking about it because I don't have a vote, but it's fun. So let's get on to my number 3.
All
All
right,
right,
let's do it.
number 3, Wild Wild West. Okay, how about the American League West?
Oh, jeez. I was avoiding it because this is another thing where it's like I'm glad I don't have to keep track of all this. I don't have to think
Yeah,
about it.
I tell everybody that I know that Seattle fans, Ranger fans, and Astros fans, I'm like, I'm so glad that I don't have a dog in this race because this would cause me to like have minor heart attacks every day. Stop watching the scoreboard. So here's what's funny though. Okay. So obviously Texas is out by a half a game and Seattle's out by a half a game to Houston, right?
Mhm.
Listen to Texas last 3, 6, 10 games. You ready?
I actually already know it. We've talked about it before. It's going to be Seattle, Houston, Seattle.
Nope. No,
No?
yeah. Oh, well, Seattle's last 3 games. Yes.
Yeah.
It's Texas in Texas for 3, Houston at home for 3, and then Texas at home for 4.
Yeah.
So literally, if you're the Astros, you're looking at that going, God bless America. Let these 2 idiots battle it out for 7 games. We're just gonna play our game, right? And I was talking to an Astro fan yesterday morning, and he said, Bill, I need a split there. Of those 7 games, one wins 4, one wins 3. I need a split. The scary part, though, Jackson, are you ready for this? This week can determine one of those 3 teams not making the playoffs, right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, after Houston's strong start, I think it would be a disaster. I don't think I'm underselling saying a disaster for them to miss the playoffs after such a strong start.
I agree. I agree. But that being said, uh, the um, the Astros play one of the hottest teams in baseball this weekend.
The Royals?
Yes, the Royals are 7-1 in their last 8 games.
Oh, I didn't know. See, I didn't know that. I don't think about
Nobody thinks about that, right? But they're playing. Besides for the Padres, the Royals are the hottest team in baseball,
it.
and
Oh
so
man.
Houston's going into a team that is hot, 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 hot. And so I'm sitting there shaking my head, going, "Oh my gosh, could the Royals play spoiler in this? Could the Royals potentially sweep Houston and the Rangers and Seattle beat up on each other? And before you know it, at the end of the weekend, the Astros are out of the playoff picture for a second, and then those games against Seattle are big. Who knows? Now, statistics would tell you that the Astros are going to take 2 out of 3 or sweep the Royals, but the Royals are the second best team in baseball right now. They're 7-1.
Yeah, and I think people really underestimate the power of a team with nothing to play for.
Yeah, yeah.
At the
Because
end of the year, at the end, mid-July, a team slumping, they kind of get pushed out of the way. In September, these guys are like, you know what? Let's finish the season strong. I want to get that big raise in arbitration next year. I got to bring my A game. And wouldn't it be better than just to, ruin the defending World Series champs weekend?
Well, and look at it this way too, right? Yes, that's absolutely correct. But look at it this way too. So if you play for the Royals, and I'm just looking up the schedule for Houston, so they have KC, Seattle, and then they end with the Diamondbacks, who
Jeez.
are
Also hot.
who are also hot and who are playing for their lives as well. So the Astros don't have it easy either. But I'm looking at, I'm thinking to myself, okay, so if I'm a 23-year-old kid who's playing for the Royals, right? And I don't have a big contract, but I'm on the cusp of something, right? I'm going to play my heart out because A, arbitration, like you mentioned, but B, I want to make it with the team. I don't want to be known as that guy that couldn't even produce in Kansas City, right?
Yeah.
So the Royals are a very dangerous team. When they got nothing to lose, they're a very dangerous team.
They're going to be throwing everything at them too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Defending champs, potential to knock them out of the playoffs, and the guy that I talked to, that's the Astros fan, he said straight up, he goes, Bill, I'm nervous. He goes, I'm optimistic, but I'm nervous because again, if the Astros go in their last 9 games, if they go 3-6, they could miss the playoffs. They could
Yeah.
miss the playoffs.
With the remaining congestion in the AL wildcard with Toronto hanging out in there, it's just a mess.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if you don't have a pony in this race, it's fun baseball to watch. If you have a pony in this race, it's not awesome.
No.
Not awesome. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Do you have any honorable mentions?
Honorable mentions. I have a funny one.
Go.
Apparently, Anthony Rendon finally talked to reporters this last week and told them he has a fractured fibula and that the Angels didn't announce it, and then he walked away. So the Anthony Rendon saga continues for the Angels. It just a really weird season for the Angels, and can we just get this guy? Just send him off to retire. What a joke.
Angels. That's another team that tried to buy their championship and didn't produce in their farm system.
I mean, and I'm not going to roast the Angels too hard. The guys that they signed, you know, numbers wise should have been good. They just had some terrible luck, and it's just kind of you know stacked from there. And then they tried to buy it, and then it kind of all fell apart. But yeah, so that was my honorable mention. He goes from saying no hablo inglés last week to saying my leg's fractured this week, and then he walks away.
The the only honorable mention that I have is I'm grateful that Shohei had a successful surgery. We didn't talk about him this week on this week's show. Maybe we bring him up at another point, but in the Shohei sweepstakes, um, you're talking probably a 3 to 4 year contract. Because he's not pitching in 2024, and you have no idea how good he's going to pitch in 2025. So effectively, you're signing a DH.
Yeah.
And
Well, a note on his surgery though, it wasn't Tommy John surgery; it was a different kind of elbow surgery.
correct, correct, correct. But again, you don't know how it's going to rehab. You don't know. I mean, you sign him
Yeah.
to sign him to a 10-year, $500 million contract, and he goes out there at this time next year and starts throwing, not pitching, but just starts throwing, feels discomfort and has to have Tommy John surgery, and he's out, and you've got this huge contract sitting out there, a la Jacob deGrom. So effectively, you are hiring a DH, which puts him, if he wants to compete for a championship, only with two teams to sign with the Baltimore Orioles or the Seattle Mariners. Both teams are extremely young and could use that star power we were talking about. You put them in New York, either one of the New York teams. What are you going to do when Aaron Judge goes down and can only DH? Or Giancarlo Stanton? What are you going to do when Pete Alonso goes down and all he can do is DH? Like, you got to think about those real world things, right? So
Yeah, but that'll be a whole separate podcast
Yep,
once
exactly.
we get through the playoff because
Playoffs, playoffs. Awesome. All right, Jackson, tell everybody what they need to do to get these cool hats and other things.
if you want a Top Fan Rivalry hat, you can get one. You can go to topfanrivalry.com. Head to the shop, use code Jackson at checkout. You will get 10% off your hat, off your jersey, off your shirt, off your baseball cards, anything you want. 10% off. Just use code Jackson. Really appreciate if you guys, rep the merch at the games. It's always a fun conversation starter because it's a hat people don't recognize. And
Yeah.
just get your stuff before October. Come on. What are you
I
waiting
was
for?
on a flight. It's funny that you mentioned that. I was on a flight coming back from Kansas City and I was wearing this exact hat. And one of the flight attendants says, "Oh, that's a very neat hat. Where did you get it?"
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't
So
know.
so so if you want to impress people by telling them you watch the coolest baseball show on YouTube on the internet, grab yourself some
Locker
Top Fan
room.
merch.
Yep.
Locker
Yep.
room.
Yep.
Code Jackson.
Go Jackson. All right, my friends. We've done it. We've done it for this week. Next week, we wrap up the season. We get into the playoffs, and Jackson and I have already talked about off season and what we want to do in the off season. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's fun. I hope you're enjoying these things on YouTube. Enjoy them while you can, because they're going to quickly be going back into the locker room. So be careful. Enjoy them now. Get your locker room access. So, all right, Jackson, thanks so much. Let's do it again next week.
Yeah. See you next week. And, have a happy weekend full of baseball.
Go baseball.